1919 was a year of infamy in Black history. Called the Red Summer of 1919, hundreds of Black Americans were killed by white mobs across the country. This rampant racism had far-reaching repercussions that contributed to generations of Black distrust of white authority. But it also reinvigorated civil rights organizations, influencing future generations of leaders. On May 16, 1919, the Boston Urban League was founded and incorporated by organizer Eugene Knickle Jones, first executive secretary of the National Urban League. The early priorities of the Boston Urban League affiliate were job training, career assistance, and advocating for quality education to improve employment opportunities for Black people. During the civil rights struggle of the 1950s and 60s, the Boston Urban League began advocating for desegregation, voter education, and affordable housing, while continuing to operate its employment programs and direct services in the Black community. In the 1970s, the organization was reincorporated as the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. The 80s and the 90s saw the Urban League strengthening its role as advocates for the urban disadvantaged, adding the fight against drug use, violent crime to its priorities for improving living conditions in the neighborhoods they served. High unemployment rates prompted them to develop the Employment Resource Center, or ERC. That was in 1994. Open to the public, the ERC still provides computer workstations, personal job search counseling to anyone who walks through their doors. In 1997, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts established the Technology Training Institute, or TTI, to provide computer skill training and technology education that would aid in employment. The Urban League has long been committed to building collaborative partnerships for civil rights. In the aftermath of the 1992 Los Angeles riots, the Urban League and the NAACP spearheaded a community-wide organization effort called the 10 Demandments. It emerged as a plan of action to improve the lives of Black people in Boston, thereby preventing the civil unrest experienced in LA. Today, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts focuses its workforce development programs on addressing the digital employment divide for people of color. And its domestic and sexual violence project, the only one amongst the 90 Urban League affiliates across the country, helps restore wholeness and brings healing to victims of trauma. The COVID pandemic in 2020 had the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts transform its training programs to digital platforms. They collaborated with community healthcare facilities in support of direct services to the disproportionately impacted communities of color to address the civil inequality, racism, and police brutality that now the whole country is awakened to. They formed the 1619 Project, centered on collaborative action by local Black and Brown organizations. So what does the future look like for the Urban League now that it has reached 102 years of service? In times of trouble, we all depend on the first responders. First responders are committed men and women that are the first to be involved when people are most in need. And so it is in this spirit of conviction that the Urban League chooses to model itself as economic first responders. Chairman of the board, Joseph D. Feaster Jr., spent much of his time in 2020 expanding and developing a board of directors made up of committed leaders that have the vision and ability to guide the future of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. I refer to it as the 3 T's: time, treasure, and talent, says Chairman Feaster. Consultant and president and CEO, Dr. J. Keith Motley states, quote, "We must go about our work with our 4 pillars of education and development, civic engagement, health and wellness, and wealth access as our guiding star." However, both leaders are very clear. It is only through strategic collaboration with municipal, corporate, health, education, and community leaders, along with the voice and participation of the community, that the strategic plan for the Urban League can be effective. Jobs of the future: access to adequate health care for everyone in the community, especially the elderly, and building a future for our youth, our immediate priorities. The Urban League wants you engaged and invites you to visit their website often at www.ulem.org. Join one of the auxiliary volunteer groups, the Guild, or the Young Professionals Network, and watch for upcoming training and service programs or community activities on the Urban League Community Events page. As the economic first responders in the communities of color throughout Greater Boston and the surrounding area, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts is committed to fulfilling its mission of empowering communities and changing lives. For WCVB's News Center 5, I'm Rhondella Richardson. Perhaps I'll see you at the next Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts event.